So in order to shaping our motivations or fixing our motivations right from the beginning as usual, which we are all familiar with. So for that, just take, in order to shape our motivations, we're going to take a few minutes to meditate by visualizing Buddha Shakyamuni surrounded by all those great beings such as Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and the lineage gurus of the great deities on the stages of the path to enlightenment, and imagining that Buddha is actually being in the at the place where you're actually receiving the teachings. So here now, when we were participating in receiving the teachings of the Dharma, once you broaden one's mind and don't, in other words, don't put too much effort to really to being to be for concentrations. You do not squeeze yourself for concentrations, but rather try to broaden and be at the venue of the teachings, and by broadening your mind and staying here at the place where you're actually receiving the teachings in a very relaxing manner. So this is something that is very beneficial to think about, and to really to make a habit of receiving the teachings in a very relaxing manner, but paying attention. And then and then so having visualized the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and the lineage gurus in the front of oneself, and then one is then imagining being your oneself in their presence, surrounded by all the sentient beings, including down to the insects and all, imagining that just you yourself is being in the presence of all those great beings. Then imagine that all other beings are also being at the presence of those great beings. And with this, then try to generate a fervent devotion and faith to the object of refuge that you have visualized, and then extend one's compassion, equal compassion, towards all other sentient beings. With these motivations, or the positive motivations, the teachings we are receiving is the great deities on the stages of the path to enlightenment.
Lama Lam Rim Chenmo Chenye Chebikola, that Chebikola, and Zambilin and Nambi Yong so the Gito Tanguere, so much. Can we any when a Jing at Angelovana, you never to be on board and rang it in Jetailama, but the ring also get Churandino, Chinese, something like Pegues, allow in the Magino Chakamat, Kuto, you saw you to Badanazogi, and Casa Coronto, you saw the Nazogi, Tana Droniche water.
So, according to the great teachers of the past, have said that when one is studying or receiving the teachings or the propounding the teachings of the great deities on the stages of the path to enlightenment, it is to say that entire teachings of the Buddha in this world actually moves, and also that we have realized the great Buddhas and great lineage gurus above one's crown in the space, is that not only just we are visualizing, but the teachings that we are engaging or the discussions on the deities that we are engaging is the essence of entire Buddha, essence of the teachings of all the Dharma taught by the Buddha.
Chukun Simba Timbishin Zibabi Chawa. Number 2 be on Bonnet, Rangi Trenchailam, but the Lama Tony, you think career. Any Dangala Kivachi Chawa saying, and the Lama Tedagi, Jusha Karitan and Sonja Sana, any Tonio to be share out down, Niji Chamboni, Jusha Shang again, John the Sonja Sana, that should Chawa tell Haji Maro. Sajini, do you go to Donji Jana?
So now, as usual, let's begin our teachings with by laying out those major outlines, beginning from the greatness of the teachings given in order to show the teachings has noble source. So with this regards, that important to think about the qualities of all those great teachers, the qualities of their working for the welfare of other sentient beings. We must bring to one's mind of all those great qualities of the great beings. And the next outlines here we read, showing the greatness of the teachings in order to engender respect for the teachings. And then again here, one is reciting these outlines. One should think about the actual contents of these teachings, the subject matter of in other words, the subject matter of the teachings of the great deities on the stages of the path to enlightenment. The major subject matter, the primary subject matters of the stages of the path to enlightenment is the wisdom realizing emptiness and great compassion.
That's such as somebody she saying it Harala Yamazuki, and it's all about the Tombani need the Rangile Chagore, Salasona, the Loja Daniel Mandia Jomaro. So I need to chamber Rangila Yosona, Senja Kangala Lo Chana Jungi Chadu, Medi Jibi Mechado. And the Jibi Mechabi the Mokorola Tahida, Keke Mea Tatsi, Loas or the Zawa Chumbo Boon Dennis on Jimaimba, and the top Yonsu Zoba Nemati, Hiro Yonsu Zoba the Zoyundi, Telehaji Chai Medoa, Mazogi Rangila Nanyus in Teski Mea Yanaya, Metele Jachetina, Metele Zawani Chumbo Yeresaladi, Meti Jibi Mechazari. So I need to chamber the Yoba Nahi, better not to you call a Chachan career sana, and Dame to be Shara de Rangilia Lawsona, that better not said those are a big. Did the Chine Jetashagi singers and tell Haji not to hit your Medua.
So then how to listen to the teachings in which both teachings and the authors are great. So here again, uh, how do we listen to the teachings in both teachings and its authors? Teachings and the authors are great. So here again, importance of reflecting one's mind upon the qualities of the teacher, and also the importance of reflecting one's mind upon what is being studied at this point, what kind of teaching that we are actually receiving, which is the teachings on uh, the great compassion in wisdom, realizing emptiness, or the wisdom, realizing selflessness, which is the same. And here now, um, this is not just we are mere listening to the teachings, but by listening to the teachings, and we are also putting an effort to practice those whatever the instructions that we have received from our teacher, and then try to actualize or try to gain a realization of compassion and wisdom realizing emptiness. So here now, when we are able to really to follow these instructions, to be able to practice, to be able to practice these teachings, then one will really become a sublime being. You know, there's no other reasonings or the intellect beyond understanding uh, wisdom realizing emptiness, wisdom realizing selflessness. So therefore, if we have, if one is able to actualize such a quality within one's continuum, then it is worthwhile to be considered oneself as a sublime being.
당한 대가랑 연랑가 반도되고 치우자거든. 아니 된주에네 다시 쳐봐주냐 랑질에 쳐발라 가서 통마 가르쳐 버잖아. 아니 랑지 자와 신년 된 거래. 아니 신년 된 바나게 얘네 취진도 얘네 신년이 간송바나긴 랑질에 쳐거서데 자이사제 지바니디 차로다 지비기 동문이디 차로다.
So then this will then be followed by how to rely on the teacher, which is the root of spiritual path. How the students train their mind after having relied on the teachers. So here now, in these two outlines encapsulates that whatever the teachings that is given by the teacher, particularly of the wisdom, realizing emptiness, and compassion, which is also known as the method aspect and the wisdom aspect, and how do we really cultivate such a quality, then this will then lead to these two important outlines, which are how to rely on the teachers, which is the root of spiritual path, how to students train their mind after having relied on spiritual teacher.
따뜻한 로치 다장 이름 발라니 리에잖아 니볼린 비슈 교와다 니보 제단린 비추니 담보지자 다 니보 제단린 비추라니 라지 나자는 니보 제세다 니볼린 즈모 다 담보지자 다 니볼린 즈모라 송 주베 중요다 드모야 라지를 마냐서니 주변 제다 드모야 라지를 마냐서니 주베 챔피언 라지를 마냐서니 즈제 다 담보니 제자 다 주베 챔피언 라지를 마냐서니 제라 송 태진란 주베고 센제 코나 덴바 센제 제다 주베츠 센제는 쇼발로 즈제 다 동문이자 다 센진의 쇼발로즈 송 센진의 로발로 비제세 로발의 레발로도 산진 문주가 때 로발로 베는 반니시 바치 다 동문이 되자 다 로발로 베는 반니시 바라니 테바쯤 버줄라노 때다 치바도 도제 테바로 지에체 다 동보라송 상생제 로발로 한데 정 전에 제세 담바송 손에 제달린 비추 다 동문이 되자 다 손에 제달린 비추라니 강라로비제 델로바는데 델라로비린 바지 다 도문이데 다 델라로비린 바라니 슈버절로노데다 치바다 파샤 타만년로도 지지 다 도문이자 다 파샤 타만년로도 지델라 비징아 인서가 신내도 나도게 편시바 아니 대니가 대니 땡인데 근데 디지지 때바 대니 신내도 나도게 뭐 아니 신내 대니가 강급이 전세 그 고랭이야 봐 소실 라우지 다데노예니 소실 라우지들 송 신내 라우지 나동 라우지 선 데니 송의 레벨 라우지스네 맞죠 거기서 보고 신내 라우지들 아데디 Shangju Senji and Chanel, who see you said that.
Nima, you need to unmute.
Okay, sorry. Having received the teachings on how to generate bodhicitta, and then this will then be followed by the how to practice, discussing on how to practice meditative serenity.
Chanel, Haton Sengi, the number Sanja, but Kanji Sanja is a drogana, and Langa Ninja on the time men are maturing it, Chanel. They mean I shall choose send the Ninja chamber, Super Yiris about the Kasim and Kasa Ganshana, Langa near Tarim, Langa Tombo Kimedua. Take no unit here go down.
So here now, the practice of meditative serenity and special insight, Shine or Hakdong, Shine and Hakdong, is the inevitable path to achieve state of enlightenment, without which it is not possible for us to really to progress one's practice towards achievement of state of enlightenment. So it is very important that when we are receiving the teachings on such subject, as try to, you should always try to be able to, summarize the teachings that one has received. For instance, that think about what kind of, the particular place that is required, or is something that is suitable or the congenial for one to engaging in such practice of serenity. And so having understood very clear, properly about the needs of the appropriate place where we can practice the serenity, one can then can be able to, one should know what are the obstacles or the impediment or that obstructions that actually obstruct us from engaging in the practice of serenity and so forth. So this is how we should always, think about ourselves, and instead of just going through all this volumes of the books and so forth, but rather when one has when one has completed receiving the teachings, one should be able to, extract the essence from those teachings and then try to make a handbook and manual for one's own practice. Mani de tanda de gomrin dangbole se chobaji.
Oh, the bonnet on Vegeta de
Long de.
Oh, the Tang Logan, there's no lot and Logan coming the window. Bonnet tombo lesa. Jetta de Jetta de can't get a mopata need to know the Mipan Zimba la Messation Sension Juba de now in the share gamba, cho the guy, Mobo, Sanjela Subian, then you'll share Sela. Mipa teni tangdo zomo, xie somba taro. Tela jui mipa gamba meja de, jo xene senang de dubi juyin bi shiro. Soso dubi shiro je gangla shoban dubi yila xena, zho bang xinwa do de, pashin duba le sondo.
So we're on the page 63 and the second paragraph. The Kamala Shila's first stages of the meditation explains how when when you are overcome with the lethargy and sleepiness, when there is a lack of clarity in your apprehension of the object of meditation, and your mind has become lax, then meditate on the idea of light, or bring to mind the most delightful things, such as the qualities of the Buddha, and dispel laxity in this way, and firmly hold onto the object of meditations. In this situation, do not meditate on the disenchanting objects, because disenchantment causes your mind to withdraw inwards. So when you expand your mind, by using discerning wisdom, to analyze an object of your choice, this also stops laxities. Arya Sura's compendium of the perfection says.
되게 계속할 때는 가서 가서 동목에 동지잖아 라시는 거되고 가서 배나 신의 배나 유지라면 제지도 넘버 자시 be거나 신의 주 신비 내가 되라 아니 세대 미발에 내가 간실라 세차 수침보 명예지 때지 냥동적으로 차비 신화들의 레비 거이나 거 레소나 아니 디 내가라 되게 카테 가르쳐 버서나 아니 세차 가야다지 아니 소소라 가와히 변나 상제라 소바 구주 던절라 가와라 아니 미바데 제소나 아니 생예 미기 냥도기 당차데 해요레스 아니 조희요의 리스다바데 간제요 말레스 조시요의 생난도 되더리 단다 신화세데 생난도 뒤비jen제네 뒤자네 니 칼레 칸도 소노 미나 세보 메비 손데 용기 챤데레도 대송고.
So here now, when you are overcome with the lethargy and sleepiness, right? When there's a lack of clarity in your apprehension of the object of meditations, and so your mind has become lax. Here now, what it says is, now, although that you may be able to engage your mind with the object of meditations, but with the lack of clarity. That is then when this happens, then it is a sign of a arousal of laxity. There is a laxity is taking place. So therefore, one is not being able to follow the proper path of proper process of engaging in the practice of meditative serenity. So in which case, in order to overcome such laxity, what should we do is to try to choose the object of meditation, something that delights you. So delightful meditative objects, because it is a mental laxity. It is a kind of dullness. So therefore, in order to overcome that dullness, one should bring to a mind of object of meditation something that is delightful, things such as qualities of the Buddhas and so forth.
되지. 파션 되발래지. 하통 준비도지 투 숑바제나 생장도 제소송. 대다 신왕 숑바니 미빈 진당 파마르 송예 신화당 하장나도 뒤변나 숑바 셰샤와 임베 진당 떠바당 미바 자체는 쪼바도바 인데 오마님볼레 숑바미 오마님볼레스 어디바도 지송다.
The compendium of the perfection says, when slack, then your mind is stimulated and inspired by the virtue of the energy of the striving for insight. Then, thus, laxity or slackness is as follows: the state of mind, the two terms describes is called laxity, because there is a decline in the way you apprehend the object of meditation. It is called slackness because there is an excessive withdrawal inwards. You counteract it by stimulating the way you apprehend the object, and by making the object of meditation extensive, so as to expand your mind, Baba Viveka's heart of the middle way states.
되지. tenga so se pena shomba on shingwa senge de lebi da zhe de se bo den do lo yi nga zong ma sen shu lo yi shu ma de do 아니 하장 이만 로한테 가르치는 줄서는 나도 우주 전에 카운트 되는데 다치스게 맞아 가지고 우주 저도 와이나 아니 쇼바데 해그래서도 대라는 제 땅에 뢰네 로디 신토 땅고도
So here and again now, why this laxity and slackness arises when one is engaging in meditative serenity? It is because we have put too much, effort or the excessive withdrawal inward. One's mind is excessive, withdrawal inward. That causes the laxity and slackness. So therefore, this need to be overcome.
되지 오마님 볼래 shumba 미바 자체다 감베 양반이들 샤셰당 shum바 양의 준비지 평양 통해 신도 샤셰당 로딜레장 데라 이쇼나 가와간의 신도바 샤오 셰 케주 첨번한지 팀바 송베 신왕고 비니보 개체쇼네 군주 송다 상주지 센지 평양당 대와터바 된체와 denchi yin den samba na ni me sima na ni yuwi de re don de che zhang mo da na riba sang ye ji ro wa da ro tu ba shi go de de ne pian yan ji shuo na so so do bi xie guan ji nyong wa tian ba la ra le so so
So heart of the middle way states, in the cause of slackness, expand your mind by meditating on an extensive object. And further, in the case of slackness, inspire yourself by observing the benefit of joyous perseverance. Also, Shantideva's compendium of trainings, Ashiksha Samujja states, if your mind becomes slack, inspire yourself by cultivating delight. The great scholars and the adepts are in agreement of this matter. So there is the most important remedy for stopping laxity when you reflect on the good qualities of the such things as the three jewels and the benefits of the spirit of enlightenment and the great significance of attaining leisures. It should have a bracing effect on your mind, just as a cold water is just as the cold water is thrown in the face of the sleepy person. This depends on your having the experience with discerning analytical meditation on this beneficial topics.
되지 다 되게 되게 되는 저기 소소게 냥냥이 토네로와 로예 신화세대 레벨 단지셔나 이 로이 슈디 차 내차 요래다 내차 여바 간실라 세차메 내차 메버 차와라 고바 연구래 아니 신화 여비 걸라 내차 여바 간실라 세차 연구여 말에 근데 세차 무용이 이게 진짜 가르잖아 땅가 좀 마서 녀도로 차비 걸라 로야 신통보도 로 소모조 로 소모조바나 맞소기 다시 가루 거르잖아 실라다 건조 연대 점바다 도서라 소바제 이니 소소 강라 가서게 상제기 구조라 소바 야 녀모지기 차체들 미바잖아 리그 말이지 지다지 야 주비기 내가 당한시나 지 베데 신화 슈치몰레가 걸라 타지네자 아니 수용네네 동마라 초통마 쇼와라 소바다다잖아 손지 걸 소바
So when this mental dullness or the laxity or the slackness arises during one's practice of meditative serenity, you will still, or you will not lose, although you will not lose your object of meditations. Your mind is able to place your place on the object of meditation. Yet at the same time, the object of meditation is not clear. It's not going to be clear. It is kind of like very blur, object. So therefore, for, for that, then we need to think about. We need to bring to a mind of something that delights oneself, such as thinking about the qualities of the three jewels and the benefits of the spirit of enlightenment of the bodhicitta.
되지 단뒤긴 제해도 온도 다른 레고도 강라 때문에 신화 제바 주비 주 몸바당 니당 대니 제비 추 대니 제비 추 아래 세미비 넘버 젠도사 노고 노 공비 니보 때나 때나 대다라 템비 신화 메제신 도반조로 데라 슈람지 차레 슈람지 차바당 나이 쳔마 레바 이라 zone yangdang yangdo gomba xeba tang sanje da jo da gende da tsuchen tang tongwa dang la jis zhenba zhu gangrong wang dela de tele jenbi tangwa jubi mipa nangje sen yang da ba sen de ba tang ni mu ji ni mi denbi chue nang ka den den ba tang shuo nang da dakala so re dakala tawa tang dong chu chu ba so xiawa nian sa le xie do song do.
So if you cultivate a remedy for being accustomed to the underlying cause of laxity, namely lethargy, sleepiness, and something that induces this two, wherein your mind takes on a gloomy aspects, then uh, then laxity results from this cause will not arise, or if it if it has arisen, will stop. In this regard, the uh, Asanga Sharvaka level suggests as such activities as good for the walk, holding an image of brightness in your mind and familiarizing yourself with it repeatedly, and then by uh, pursuing any of the six recollections, the Buddha, the teachings, the community, ethical discipline, generosity, and deities, and stimulating your mind by means of other inspiring object of meditation, orally reciting teachings that discuss the faults of lethargy and sleepiness, gazing in the different directions and at the moon and stars, and washing your face with water. And also, if laxity is very slight and occurs only frequently, then tighten up your apprehension of the object and continue meditating. But if laxity is dense and seems to occur repeatedly, then sustain your cultivation of concentrations. Clear away laxity using any of these remedies, and then resume your meditations. And whether your object of meditation entails directing your mind inward or outward. If the object is unclear and you have the sense of darkness, light or sense of darkness, or slight or dense or descending on your mind, then it will be hard to cut through laxity. If you continue to meditate with this without eliminating it, therefore, as a remedy for the repeatedly meditate on the appearance of light, Asanga Shavaka level states.
되죠. 때때 강이 된다 치바래. 강제 맞속에 몸바다 니 제비 내가라 생각되는 미바기 텐데 배치 가서이나 신의 루무도 강제 문제 계속 게 말이 뒤지 차체 가서기 시바데 되는 내비 소리진도 너 그러나 또 등주지 내고 여나 등주 코스홈비 터를 가는 거 제거를 했으나 아니 노아 변은 이제다 봐유셔도 나와도 까말라 소바 제를 미바체 땅다 동 추추발라 소바 다 강제 등주기 로센터 거에 대송도
So when one is engaging in the meditative practice, not only that we are actually engaging in meditative practice and meditative serenity, but also even when we are actually engaging in our, the normal routine of one's meditations, when this happens, such as mental dullness, laxity, and slackness and sleepiness that arises, then those are the method to overcome. You know, uh, gazing at the stars and moons, something that delights one's mind, And also, it is also a beneficial to actually, if it is really, you are really remaining under the control of this laxity and so forth, then one should, take a break of the session and then wash one's face and resume one's practice again. Resume one's practice later, sorry.
Te yang sa, xiongwa xin de saba tang len re zang le, miong na sen jin zin tang rinpa xe de gangpa xa la sa. Xiongwa tuba tang yang yang wongwa na na, tingin zi gangpi cho sho la. Nyingpo na, jiri pa ten ne, xiongwa samba de gang re, xiongwa samba tang gangpa xa wo. Sen gang ali te pa de jia doa, te pe nyanga nga su gang jengi na pe nyanga shu re te. Dipad alete tuntu de chiloro cheda gomba shawo dipad.
So cultivate serenity and insight correctly with the mind in the bright and radiance, mind of clear, free of gloom, on the way to serenity, insight and meditate on the sense of brightness. In this way, if you do then, even at the outset, your interest in an object of meditation is dull, and dull, and the brightness is fading. The the cause and condition of having accustomed yourself to the meditation will clarify your interest in the object of meditation and lead to great brightness. If there is a clarity and then great brightness and outside the great brightness at the outside and clarity and brightness will then later become still more vast.
Tero, Benanga so te gancho jimbi nekola, Xiwan zang lo Jimmy Bala Maseo and Yumbi Nekola, Ganjo the better trauma chiogene, and suitally never than a gancho also. Nishiwa Tupole, Yas, Yang, the Yundu Yasana, Neko Kono Ganja at the Pashane, and Nishiwa Santa Che, Shiwa the Sansona, Tomato the Gauntlet Chijugure, Sondoa.
So then also when one should also be able to aware that there is a intense laxity and then also slight laxity. So there are many levels of the laxity. The laxity can arise within when one is engaging in meditative serenity. So then, based on the intensity of the laxity, arousal of the laxity, or the intensity of the laxity, one should know that it is important to know that whether it is more beneficial for one to come out of the session, or you should continue on the continue on one's meditations by visualizing and choosing the object that delights one's mind in order to overcome laxity.
Sen kala zobe ka nang ta tang shiti mipa mesewa sen la mipa baba tabi naba sotu gano nana te ma sewa gana shiwa che kawa te yi nipo yue jen nawa yang yang gamba shade nyasa le nawa dan tenpa yue dan tenpa yue sewa tang mipa mipa sen je shene dan lato yang taba ganshi Chuji teta shene tang hathong ki lang la nang di shi gamba na kete tongpo nini mi pa la mi pa namba me se shin nongwa chungwa je na yang gamba gomba shayi ju teta jen te mi pa tela mi pa namba sewa da nongwa chenpo ni tun joro kete tongpo nini namba me sewa da nongwa chenpo juba ina 이나네 대이시를 자치 레 대이시를 대이만의 대이시신 자치 신도 넘버 세와 당 신도 노 첨부 니도 양 주로 시 Tomani mipa sena gamba shawa sona mesena tachime bishoro. Noi tsama chendawa shi zoma yang tenile mami yue la mimi yue le sang me yu pumbi yue le sang nimi yue jinko noi tsama zon shi je sumba taro. Noi tsama gamba ndene tingin zinchi du kona mazi jenda yang shawo sondo.
So since since he says you should cultivate practice even when the object of meditation is clear from the beginning. This is all the more true when it is unclear. Asanga Shavaka level also describes how to hold the sign of brightness in meditations. Hold in, hold in meditation the sign of brightness from the light of an oil lamp and light of a bonfire or the orb of the sun. Meditate on the sign of brightness not only while cultivating concentrations, but on the other occasion as well. In the case of excitement, out of attachment, your attention pursues objects such as form and sound, form and sound. So in response to that, bring to mind, you know, disillusioning things and cause your attention be drawn inward. As soon as this calm and and settle your mind then settle your mind on the earlier object of meditations. Kamala Shila's first stages of meditation states, see that your mind is occasionally become excited, uh, as you recall previous excitements, play, and so forth. Calm the mind, calm the excitement by bringing to mind disillusioning things such as impermanence. Then strive to engage in object of meditation without your mind becoming involved in activities. The Baba Vega part of the middle way states calm excitement by bringing to the mind impermanence and so forth, and pull your mind back to the distraction by nothing the faults of the distracting objects. That's much of that.
되게 타마자세 되냐 너희 sama gomba 되니 땡인데 gombi 코나 맛에 젠다 가두이나야 데 나란레도 벌써 지도 데레서나 데바데 있어 녀초 고리 바바 세딩에
내 배진 브렉 쇼에서 다름지
지전은 매 유여차샤
미 여차샤 여세
유여차는 게 단다 아니 고바데 용지
고바디가 대쇼와 선수연스 cultivate. Beijing ma shosha
쇼네 이게 가네 해 야진 로토나 근데 너희 참아 생기지도 너희 참아 전도와시 송왕이나 세대가 좀 너희 참아 간데 제종 거잖아 아니 마미여다 풍비여다 니미여다 진고 너희 참아 송와시 예송바 따로 어째 아니 너희 참아 간반데니 땡엔지 듀스 코나 마제 젠도야 샤오 소나게 로찬도아
네 로차샤에
아니 안돼 제 로찬은 안되지 당가 좀 데려다 단데 뒷바르게 가서기 되게 양초이 가르치고서나 신화 회비 거라 아니 간데 제거래스 세대 신화 회비 거라 신화 생인데 로라 세차 명예지래 세차 용배 된다라 세차 광고래 신화 수침벌해서나 나서 그게 강제에 대샤네 동부 신화된 거 신화된 거 전에 나서 지용 거를 세대 당가 속에 지미 시에반다 로이 공주의 관심 받지면 시에토면도
So when the laxity comes, then when the laxity arises during one's meditations, what happens is it will, you know, you will not be able to have the clarity of meditation, object of meditations will not be there. So then this is the one kind of laxities. Then also there's a very intense laxity. When this intense laxity really arises, and regardless of how much methods or the skillful means that you apply, if it is still not working for your, if once object of meditation is not still not clear, then that is a sign that your laxity is very intense. So therefore, it is better to stop the meditation and then come out of one's meditation session, and then then whenever this laxity is no longer there, then one should resume the practice.
되지. 다 가서 너희 참아 생일 때 뒤진 가서 신내 주비 계셔 레면도 말어서 뒤지 칸더를 제 수보녀도 차 뒤질 거라니 그런 로랑 하기 거는 군주대지 단내 디시터는 가서 하잖아요. 로아 너희 참아 생일 때 세제데 띵인지 거기 코나만 이제도야 세디 네 텔레 그런 신내 주비 거 많이 나요. 3번여도 잡을 거라 대다 다시 요래서.
So here that Asanga Shervaka level also describes above. I mean that's describes how to hold the sign of brightness in meditations. It's very clear, right? Hold in the meditation the sign of brightness from the light of an oil lamp and light of bonfire or the orb of sun. So then this is not only suggested when for the practice of meditative serenity, but also the other practice as well, other occasions where it says meditate on the sign of brightness, not only while cultivating on concentration, but on the other occasion as well.
되지. 맞아 신내 라지를 매체기 감비 걸 치크데 아니 신화도 고반이래 세대 등 하고제 아니 신화도 고바 간제질에 세고를 세나 로소나 아니 사제들 레네 될 따지제는 로비손 지어래 되면아 배 녀도시 가르시 하고 있어 지어라 신내 간신비 내거라 로텔라 쩨치슈데 가르레거스나 신화 생에게 로 미발레 네바 가실라 지 로라 소모맹에게 로라 나맹에지 레비컬라 신화해 되어레스 아니 로테 미발레 지진데 데베투어체네 인쇼샤이디컬라 고발해 되어레 다 되니 가는 고고레스에 돼 하자데.
So the main thing that we have to understand is that when we are engaging in practice of meditative serenity, the main obstacles that is to be identified is mental laxity and excitement. Those are the two main obstacles. So now, when the laxity, as we discussed earlier, when the laxity arises, then one's object of meditation will become unclear. Although that you are able to, able to put your attention, place your attention on the object of meditations, but meditation will not be very clear. That is a sign of, laxity is actually overpowering one's practice of meditative serenity. And then, then another thing, that excitement, what happens when excitement arises is it actually distracts your mind from your attention on the object of meditations. It will not let your mind observe the object of meditations, or your mind, it will prevent your mind from paying attention to the object of meditations. In other words, you're actually losing that object of meditation. That is a sign of arousal of mental excitement.
다 거반에 손다 다 거반에 차피고네 수다라 소비 유라 생주바 임베 대라네 이노도 되비 주 인종용 오보이라 샤라 대 거바마 거바 시마타 마주미발라 세냐바 자데 보레 tombol레 강게체 거바다 제와라 소바 대신 아바도 세 거바 통화데이체 메타발라 소비 인종한지 오보이라 샤바 거바샤와 샤오 Dene yang mipa teni la sen ngopa di sheba meba juba la beba shawo shedang oma nyembo lechang gopa mata la soba yila sheba shawa sha shedang inwa inwi tsema la nimi tawe duba sha shedang loti lechang gopa jana metaba yila shawa rabdu shawa shawa she sombe gopa shu talang jun rinwa shimana reshi gamba le la joshe gamba ne dandwa yinji sen treje ku sen treje ku jin joba meno joba meno achi gopa de zang re gopa de zang de she me chawa la ne choba de ku ne me ba daba sha de pashin de ba le song de ba lo cha de
Then the parliament that
ano te ba phase de ba le se te ba lo re
made tell you temper tundu mantasha.
ale ya ya ano phase de ba le se ba lo ge nga so pa sa ja
So here I overread one paragraph. So let's read again. In the case of excitement, here, in the case of excitement, out of attachment, your attention pursues objects such as form and sounds. So in response to that, bring to mind a disillusioning things that cause your attention to be drawn inwards. As soon as this calms the excitement to settle your mind on the earlier object of meditations. Kamala Shila's first stages of meditation states, when you see that your mind is occasionally becoming excited as you recall previous excitements, play and so forth, and calm the excitement by bringing to mind disillusioning things such as impermanence, then strive to engage the object of meditation without your mind becoming involved in activities. In Baba Viveka's Heart of the Middle Way states, calm excitement by bringing to mind impermanence and so forth, and pull your mind back from the distractions by netting the fault of the distracting minds. Also, Shantideva's Compendium of Training states, if excitement occurs, then calm it by bringing impermanence to mind. So, if very strong or the prolonged excitement arises, it is crucial that you relax the meditation for a while and cultivate sense of disenchantment rather than attempting to pull in your mind and direct it back to the object of meditation every time it becomes scattered. For excitement that is not so dominant, then draw in the scattered attention and fix your attention upon the object of meditations. This is because Arya Asura's Compendium of Perfection states. Let's take a break here.
아주 대로 거버스는 되자기 차도르세데 삼바 쇼로데 잉에 요로지라 거버스라 그러와 신화세는 센 나도로 깔레카는 데 등에 지라 센 신화세 그러와
Nima, can you unmute?
So excitement did man tigal neme che songdo.
Hala ya teche.
Me xie de xiang.
Goba tiki tendi chila shara.
No.
Goba sena decha ki chato yinza, decha sede shiro ji zudha la subi yile yinwa tila, goba sela gores.
So because this excitement belongs to the category of attachment. So this actually distracts your mind from, attention from one's object of meditations. And the laxity is something that actually it dulls one's mind, and it will lead to a lethargy and sleepiness and slackness.
Teche, goba sete teche. Ta tendi ki goba yunbi kaula, ani goba yunbi ki, ani goba te mepo soya ki, nyepo te kare tengora sana, ani ko chapa ki yinza de, ani matabala soba te tala mine, ani semba la joshi che juko, ngenjo da shangju se nije tani che sona, ani semba te tsuku yuan jirwa, semba te nandu kubi te tangore es.
So when excitement happens, then in order to overcome this excitement, to counteract excitement, in other words, to meditate on impermanence and renunciations and bodhicitta and so forth. This will enables you to withdraw your mind inwards. Inward withdrawal is possible by means of meditating on impermanence and so on.
Teche, de mocha te mataba kaya, matuba kaya te sondu swa.
That's all.
Teche, ta tenri che yundi kaula, tanji gama de chibare, goba shu chenpo lebi kaula, ani, ta kanje gang jo shimbe ne kaula shekhen ki shara chene dedeba degoro, subo chune. Lebi kaula, ani, shunga shu chenpo lebi yana, ani, korongi gang le mipa jesa tala, mipa de mebo zo ne, ani shunga de ka ne, dema tatan ju. Shunga de shu chenpo mena, ani, chote mechi, gangi chote mechi aje, ani, su le nyebo tene, mipa de ranja chong shu sondwa, teni de chibare doa.
So here now, when again here the same thing, when the excitement is very intense, then one should discontinue one's practice, and in other words, come out of one's practice session and let one's mind settle, and then resume one's practice of meditation later.
Passion deba lechi, goba kanse, chubi yi, shene chujun doba sha, shedang dole, sen rodun joko, she son re, she sonba, gobi nyebo, sadele sonbe so, chi zana, sen go na, miba la rodun joba tang, sen shena, gayu la rodun zimba ni sonde, nyesa le. Teta sen na du ngomba duba na, te shumba jo, shumba toba tomba di se, rodun zimbi tsema tang, re tsema tangwa jo yang, re kanyang ruwa rodun zimba sheji, rodun gawa shede. Tene sen rodun zimba sheba yino. Teta ne rodun joba sheba yin she na, rodun zimbi du na, sen goba lang, goba toba tonga te itse, sen no do ngoba duba she jin, shene la rodo joba sheba yino she sonso, sen goba la ne, tanshin ga yi la meja te, tene shiro de yi je yinbi sharo, sondo.
The compendium of the perfection states, when your mind becomes excited, stop this disturbance by calming it and stabilizing your attentions. And Asanga's text on the level says that the sutra passage, you focus your mind, refers to a remedy for excitement. It is generally said that if your mind is excited, you should focus on the object of meditations. While it is lax, you should think about delightful objects. Asanga's Sharvaka level states, thus, once your mind has become withdrawn inward, and you note that there is a slackness or the threat of slackness, maintain and gladden your mind by thinking of any inspiring things. This is maintaining your mind. Uh, so, how 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 do you settle your mind while maintaining your mind? When you note that your mind is excited, or that there is a threat of excitement, then withdraw your mind inward and settle it in calming stabilizations. When your mind is excited, do not bring to mind inspiring and delightful objects, because this will cause your mind to be distracted outward.
되지. 그러 제단에 소소도 이게 제단에 제단에 생대라. 아니 고바세데 인와레 인와 제소나다 셈미발레 조바지 고로 아스. 신화 생에데 칼레 카비네 걸레데 셈발로 좋아해 고로 아세데 제단에 생이 내다.
So when the excitement happens, then one should not think about it. One should not choose any object of meditation that delights oneself. It will cause more excitement, uh, excitement, and then here when the laxity is taking place, then one should choose the object of meditation, something that delights oneself.
되지. 괜히 제단이 로탄데 해고도 시원도 고바스나 신의 걸로 좀 맞아와요나요. 지도는 나이슈 좀 용비거라 세미발을 취조도에 아니 생로 통치도 비서로 기념도서는 용비거라 아니 이 다간지 건조기 연대라서 봐라 아니 세차라서 봐잖아요. 생이 아니 좋아 생로 좋아 피지고도 되니 지당기 로이다다.
So this is not only this practice. It's not only refers to the practice of meditative serenity. It is also applicable for one's own daily routine or daily practice. In other words, day-to-day practice of meditations. When this is happening, and we all have experience of having such laziness and lethargy is taking place and excitements and so on, so which is not really hard for us to look, but it is, we all have this experience, right? So therefore it is good to apply all these methods during our any practice, any occasion of one's practice.
되지. 다지바레 신경제 유중어서 네 손도 응어서 네 사유문제래 신이 체마 강시나 오면에 엄비고 마송하다 카제주 수마zem바 나지 차되었던 참에나 메네비 조알라 무좀바 시 무좀바다 시제마인바 네바다 데문 쇼바다 니체바다 타 미셰바다 레로다 덴비 덴바다 준주다 세 센다 쇼바다 제네라 공바 당现在用是让我们这边现在就学习一了些吧，先没把大本都把当没把啦，都把面个说这没把了都把面个我先送的，先别什么呢？阿拉东北的高嘛的这个隔壁什么的了，隔壁什么是呢？就是呢，基本的先送的，但先别什么呢？是对吧？的记下，等到基本上是落下了去。
So now, the underlying cause of laxity and excitement. Asanga's level of yogic deed states. What are the signs of laxity? Not restraining the sensory faculties, not eating in moderations, not making an effort to practice rather than sleeping during the early and later part of the night. Ongoing lack of vigilance, deluded behavior, and oversleeping, being unskillful, being lazy in one's aspirations, choice, perseverance, intention, and analysis, giving only partial attention to serenity without accustoming yourself accustoming yourself to it, and fully refining it, and letting your mind stay as though in darkness, and not delighting in focusing on the object of meditation.
Tichi, ta tu su te nga su li chu xiang lang rwa, li chu xiang lang se te, ane shen ne zhungen chi na li chu xiang lang te da song go ya tang, ane sen ju, kan chi li sen nying ka ye, ane zheng lang ku go ya, zheng lang ku go ya den do wa te, te ma je na, tanda go ba che go ya ye, jen te ta te hi sha wa re, song ya te re.
So this talks about the underlying cause of laxities, right? It requires uh, uh, follow the rules when one is engaging in a practice. The rules, pertaining to one's body and mind.
Tichi, ta te ki te xiongwa ki ju sen na tsema sen na te che, ma re ka sa go ba, ta xiongwa ki ju sen na tsema sen na de re do, ta xiongwa tsema ne son do, de xiongwa ju lo ane kwa xa, tsema sen ju lo go go son do, kwa xa wo che, de la le lo tang den ba xe ba ne, zun ju tang sen tang, xio ba son la ya ja ro gang de chi ba che, yang de ni le, gobi tsema kang xe na, xe je ki long re da, ngama jen to ombi go ma song la so ba jen jetang de cha la xue ba dang nian ma xi bi cui jian dang sen jiu wa me ba ta mi xie ba dang ngama jen de ha jiang rob du ze ba dang den bi den ba la so ba dang zhen ba la ma gong ba dang rob du zen ba la shang wa ma xie be de yi shu ji gang ba dang nian de la to ba la so ba go ba dang tin bi 却刚阳认为三那把因为因为我写送的隔壁千万年隔壁就我几把节还讲绕顿人吧呢该有了三种扎巴的得当点比点把了说吧妈妈就我送的写节的家吧送的
So now here the sign of laxity should be understood as the cause of laxity. The word the word lazy applies to choice perseverance, intention, and analysis as well as to aspirations. The same text also states, what are the signs of excitement? The first 4 points listed above for the sign of laxity, not restraining the serenity, sensory faculties, etc., and behaving with attachment, having a disquieted manner, lacking a sense of disenchantment, being unskillful, having a great sense of grasping in your aspirations, etc., failing to accustom yourself to joyous perseverance, meditating in an unbalanced way without refining your apprehension of the object of meditations, and being distracted by any sort of exciting topics such as thoughts about relatives.
되지 는 것도 데려와셔. 준비세나 겨와로 또 와로. 조세메와이는 녀도리 녀도 자손은 숑바징 그래. 녀투금도 숑바이나 레로레그로. 지루비 숑바단 샤와게 레로세도 모자데 숑바 용게 제데 아니 조세메비게 숑바데레고요아. 인자는 레로도 전주메 전발로 소바데다 니 가르사 신화집이 제레 송도아.
So the lack of joyous perseverance is actually a cause or the signs of laxities.
되지. 되지. 대다 나서 하틴 단지지. 대다 나 하틴 사지 냥내 거스 댐비 엄비 고담바 시네 신고 니가라 개체와 대 개체신사 예야 주대나 시바시네 대다 고발라 좀바 시나 신고 줘발라 신도 편체와 세로 어선도 대나 de donso chire donto tanga so tin sang ne ko sala ambi go dambala so ba de patient ne ke chambare la do asi ne dun
So, the sign of excitement are the cause of excitement. Great grasping is grasping is an excessive mental hold on the delightful objects, aspiration, etc. Refers to the 4 points: aspiration, choice, perseverance, intention, analysis. analysis explained earlier. Thus, the four practice of which restraint of the sensory faculties is the first, which are discussed earlier in the sections of practice between meditation sessions, are important for stopping both laxity and excitement.
초진은 가서 이게 네 코로 대사기 내기 치바시 그걸 사상도 내줘대 유지 대세에서 엄비 고단에 편도 전부 쉬고저로 알려 동보알 가서 저 코노노로로 미세기 피기게 될 차바도 마도나 내가 이들 요소소에 들어와.
So right from the beginning of our teachings on this meditative serenity, we talked about the preparation of meditative serenity, and that in the preparation of meditative serenity, that talks about the requirements and what are the places and one's resources and so forth, are all the practice that actually restrain one's sense faculty, because restraining one's sense faculty is something that is very important for the individual who's engaging in the practice of serenity.
제가 세로가지 대나 신그 처모야 시신지 리바샤라 대니 진짜시 인장 레 인장 당도 만나바 넘바 통치도 가고데 대마샤나 뭐반 뒤 메시바 시비 땡인지 주인바 유탈레 송비 셔로 대나 고 대나 고바당 넘바 인와 소 처모는 토미디스 제장 알레 대나세 대나 같이 연다진도 바 춘춘진도 대 셔로 대나 고바당세 대야 같이 렌체카가레시.
So moreover, if you recognize those causes and try to stop them, this is obviously very helpful for interrupting laxity and excitement. Therefore, use vigilance to notice even subtle laxity and excitement. You should stop laxity and excitement in every possible way, not tolerating them in any form. That's all.
나중에 방안디 시제에는 땡인데 주면데 네바티 칼라 네보 때나 네바지레 네바 레비칼라 네보 만데나 네바지레 단다데 레비 창문 레기도 선에 유샤와이나 아니 땡인지 주연지레 와서 유탄의 소비.
So now here Maitreya's the separation of the middle from the excitement, the extreme, says failing to do this is fault of concentration called non-applications, right? So here now, what we should do is when one is engaging in practice of meditative serenity, if one's meditative serenity is going well, then one should stop applying applications to antidote towards that. But then if there is any interruptions, whether it is subtle or very, whether it is very moderate or something that is very intense, as soon as you become aware of there is a arousal of any of those two obstacles, then you should immediately apply apply antidotes towards those obscurations.
대나 스타 같이 일반으로 대나 고바다 나 넘바 이와서 참모나 토미도스 제장 메체베 제바 메자오 냐네 야와 도와 당스 대나 슈 잡아 당 하장 준르비 루그지 메나 슈 셴베 준 통예외네 통예와 네 말에 통예와에 네 le mesoba alle le mesoba lada 통해외네 le mesoba 제 메고소 냐나 대다 범비시 등반 뒤 메시바 대다게네 띵엔진 노다 주비 취 메시진의 셰바 주네 띵엔지 된도 녀와나 흘와 인데 이제 샴발로 수베 띵엔진 주비 취 때라버비 jun루레 쇼로든 주비 쇼로 소도게.
Now here some say, some may gradually give up thinking, slight excitement and distractions persist even though I cut them off at the outset. So I shall not cut them off, or if laxity and excitement are not strong and do not persist for long periods, they may think since they are weak and of brief durations, I do not accumulate karmic obscurations. So I do not need to cut them off. So those who think this way and fail to apply themselves to the elimination of this hindrances do not know the right way to achieve concentrations. Yet pretend that they do. They deceive those who aspire to concentrations. For this approach, place them outside the tradition of the method for attaining concentrations laid down by the teachers such as the Venerable Maitreya.
되지. 고바 슈춘춘지다 개체고 말이 그 주는 뒤두고 말이 그 레는 사투고 말에서 나와이나 아니 된적이 랑에 이때 지 생에 되게 아니 땡연저 주주 메시지한테 다 셰바전에 땡연저 주주서 봐. 그거 맞아요. 다 이탄 송으로 다 자가 한번 공부기 송비 땡연저 주주 중에 싫어도 쳐 봐라서는 아니 같이 나오도.
So this is again we already discussed on that. Whenever there's a sign of excitement or the laxity, even if it's a very minor, just one should not ignore it. Rather, apply antidote towards that, right away. Otherwise, if you think that this is a very minor, it's not very strong. It will not, it's a very brief durations, nor it accumulates karmic obscuration and so on and so forth. If we leave aside without paying attention and applying antidotes, then that is completely wrong, and it is very contradictory to the instruction given by the Buddha Maitreya.
대다 신경 고바 라양 피체와라 토마 고바당 넘버 인외 바도 주베 대주발란 베고라 대다 베베 고바당 인와 라바시 로바나 내체 중세 네번 주신 대이체네 신위 신위 아래 선샤와라 베도 리발라 슈데네 리발라 슈세나 신신 샤바나 하양 고반 한레 차와시 네발라 바도 줘바 저외 대줘발라 베진 대 로바나 네체체를 로라 대체양 신화 줘반 저외 신화 줘발라 베도 도나 초거레 센레데 나도 미발라 담반 내차 제 내차 나숑레지 시레 신수 첨보시에데 세윈안데 데니 레머시네 땡엔지 쥐메 주바 샤이 진타지 나다 뎀비 세차 메비 당차 장제 내차라 레와 메자오 어송도.
So, moreover, in terms of counteracting laxity and excitement, at the outset, you will most often be interrupted by excitement and distractions. So strive to eliminate them. If you're working on this, you stop you stop gross excitements and distractions. Then you will get a little bit of stability. At this point, make an effort to guard against laxity. If you are on guard against laxity with the heightened awareness, then excitement more subtle than before may again interrupt your stability. So strive to eliminate this. If you do stop it, then stability will increase. Then laxity will gain arise. So they will So try to eliminate laxities. In summary, withdraw your mind from scattering, scattering and excitement, and inwardly fixing it up, the object of meditations, and seek stability. Stability. Each time stability occurs, take great precaution against laxity and bring forth and vivid intensity. You will achieve flawless concentrations by alternating between these two. Do not expect to attain stability by means of mere limpidity, which lacks the vividness and goes along with the intense way of apprehending the object.
티체 당와서 텐드레 레 동보도 토마 강 고추이 비가라 네 페체올라 토마라 니 거바라 발레게 데스 거바레디 거바데 까비 젠제나 아니 거바 까유디 거바 까도디 셈바테 네 유레 네 오라 조바스 네 네비 네거살라 그냥 카테 가르여서나 아니 세차 명용이게 아니 신화쇼이라 도바친데 도서진데 데그레서 어제 동보들이
So here, the instruction is that for the initial practitioners, when we are actually beginning to the practice, the beginner practitioner of meditative serenity, the gross level of this, excitement is likely to arise. So when this arises, then it will not. This will then prevent us from, by paying one's attention on the chosen object. You will not be able to place your mind on the object of meditations. So then, when the laxity, the gross level of laxity arises, then although that you may be able to place your attention on the object of meditations, the object of meditation will become unclear.
티체 데 고데와 챤나 다레 베네 싱거 타라 게체시 니가 타라기 네 라바 거바 라바가 비가라 아니 네찰레 비가라 인조 아니 신화레기도 왔다 아니 인조 신화 네차다 세체니가 레비가라 양 거바 용고도 왔다 네 거바 타라다 아니 가사 네차다 아니 세차도 쓰기 빼맞제네 다네 아니 가사 림바체네 종고를 세대
So here, if you look at the summary paragraph, it says now, when you are able to, stop the gross level of laxity, then you will be able to stabilize your mind on the object of meditations. Then again, there's a chances of arising laxity when you are able to pay your attention to the object of meditation. The possibility is the laxity will take again. Possibility of arisal of the laxity. So therefore, again, then one should try to see whether the object of meditation is clear, and then if you are able to stabilize your meditation on that, and also the clarity of the object of meditations, then one should continue to practice. But on the other hand, one should always again aware of whether these two obstacles are arising at any time.
당가서 신내 두고 세디지 미송 저거지 대대지 거래면도 왔다 신내 두비가라 신주제는 내 신주제는 로고로 도선전 파쇼 도바사 추쇼 도바사 아니 연땡이 차네 대기도 했다 정이 차네 연구도 했다네 근데 레마제네 로고로 써도
So here now we now clearly know that when speaking about practice of shamatha or meditative serenity, or the calm abiding practice of calm abiding, it's not mere closing one's eyes and remaining unmoved, motionless. This is not, however, is not so. It requires analytical meditations by analyzing whether there is a sudden obstacles arising or not. There's a lot of process, the thought process is involved. not just mere closing one's mind and remaining, motionless.
되지. 젠탄데 나도 젠탄 그 타마타마데 따로자. 젠탄제 나도 덴바 세차메비 당차장제 당차장제 내차래요. 뭐자고세디 데레. 맞어게 젠탄이 나면은 로티기 네바탄야 말 코피일 데바상제 아니 맞어 이제 저기 이제 렌저기 신내도 루투 말해서 해야 돼. 내가 저기 신주 집에 가라 로피기 유로 당원제는 내가 연나요. 로영원처럼 제단 슈 잡고지 나로지 매완이나 아니 신내 제단 되어야 말이다. 강사되니 강제는 유 가세는 대두가.
So here it says the last sentence of the summary, which is, do not expect to attain stability by means of mere limpidity, right? Which lacks the vividness and goes along with intense way of apprehending the object.
니빠 신거 다트 뒤스 제타 샤와네스 다 신거 제네 메비가 가르쳐 그랬으나 제나서 마시바다지 신거 참모 양 제데 강배 야나 신와 당 야나 고반지 민냐바 메바 센냐바 니든 주바 줘바 대이체 디시온 저나 땡인지 저 인베 디 니보 당냐 강바 샤오
So here now, what to do when laxity and excitements are absent? What to do when laxity and excitements are absent? By continuing to meditate after eliminating even subtle laxity and excitements, as explained above, your mind will enter a state of equipoise that is free from imbalances of either laxity or excitements. At this point, it is a fault of concentration to apply or exert yourself. So cultivate equanimity as a remedy for this Kamalashila second stage meditation says.
tatejin ye ngama lo so 강게 체 신화도 고바 메바 줘바 메바 텔라 sen ne do ba thong de yi che zo le la dang niao shi xia xin de yi che ji su de je ba de ju ba xia re do ba xia wo mo so de xie so wa nan de xie la re wa nan de xie ba zo wa xie be juan de ju lu de jian da xi yin xie na de ne sen go wa sen go na nang de go ba tang xin na sen de ba de gambe tin sang la je wa tin re ale tin changba rewana changba relare shunge minjong yi din topi dus tomi dujin de shunge sun dang re xin sun dang gobi sun chenpo xie zhongwa yin de deta xiana gongren shima yin le gete sen nyamba shuba la zuwa xiana de yi ce sen namba yinwan joro xie somba da 인원 주에 대체 르 셰바 고소 대양 저 르바 인진 진당 진가 담바 메노 대나 땅녀 공반 데 신거 마좀 이급 탕제도 셰바 민지 신거지 온 차바나 인데 신거지 온 마차비 뒤스 땅녀 니 메비셔로 손도
So when laxity and excitements have gone and you see that your attention is calmly remaining on the object of meditations and relax your efforts and abide in equanimity, then remain this way for as long as you please. So question, how can it be that applying yourself or making an effort turns into a problem? Reply. Through meditations, turning your attention inward when your mind is excited and stimulating your mind when it is lax, you gain confidence that laxity and excitement will not occur during each suitable meditation sessions. At this point, you are still extremely wary of laxity and excitements, and just at the outside, uh, sustaining this is the problem. Sustaining, so this is the problem. So your mind will become distracted. So at the time, you must know you must know to relax, as stated in the Kamalashila second, and third stages of meditations. If you exert yourself when your mind has entered a state of equipoise, then your mind will be distracted. This entails relaxing and effort, but not sacrificing the intensity of the way you apprehend your object. Therefore, this cultivation of equanimity is not to be done not to be done every time laxity and excitements are absent. But once you have reduced the force of laxity and excitement for when you have not done so, then there is equanimity.
야, 당뇨스 임비셔로 되자. 다 된지 단지 가서 대로 당뇨 디 띵게 시화도 그거 maybe 깔아 당뇨 라인 거는 대구래 세대 타지지 서로. 다 당뇨 내 거비 진짜 가르쳐서나 이게 강도 예바 나올라. 띵게 쨈면에 돼 있잖아. 아니 연주 예바 돼서나 띵게 진 강비 쨈 있으나 라차로 와지 되게 타지지.
So, when there's absence of excitement and laxity, then one should remain one's meditation in equanimity, because as we already discussed earlier, that when one's meditation is, when one's meditation is going flawlessly, then one should not attempt to apply any applications.
그래. 아니 렌트기 띵게 쨈면 당년에 같이 간 거잖아. 신화도 그거 연비가라 당년 차고 말어 왔어. 신화도 그비기 나 메비거지라. 아니 로 가마전에 네비거라. 아니 당년 전에 되고래. 세이 타마데레.
So what is meant by remaining in equanimity is the remaining in equanimity refers to the lack of excitement and laxities.
되지. 원하자 당년에 진짜시 인냐나. 제 당년라 초 당년 당 세메 지위야 제제 당년 당 디시 당년 송래 데네 당 디시 당년 인라지. 대유모 년살에 될라 당년 간시나 신내도 하동이 쇼지 미발라 생규네 녀모바 메비 생년바 니당 네도 보바당 랑게 낭게 주바당 생년 대와당 생레스롱이 제수 조아메비 샤베 또바 강인바 대오 제송바다 셰바샤오 소도 리거 이다냐.
So now here it talks about what is equanimity, right? So what sort of equanimity is this? Reply. Generally, there are three types of equanimity are taught. The first, the feeling of impartiality. The second is the impartiality that is one among the four immeasurables. And the third one is equanimity with respect to the applications. This is equanimity with respect to the applications. Its nature is to be understood in accordance with this passage of Asanga Sharvaka labels. What is equanimity? As your mind attends to object of meditations associated with the serenity and insight, it is focusing with calm and settling, and spontaneous mental engagement, a sense of mental well-being, effortless mental functioning, and after becoming serviceable and mental balances free from afflictions.
Shesomba Sheba Shawoji. Tenda Tanya Topi Tse, Tingin the Gambana, Shingo Majum because Tanya De, What the Shala, Zoa Midaba Jaba Shawo. They me beat Sema Ne, Denile. Tella Tanya de Sema Ganshena, Mipa Gangi sent Tanya's Shebada, Mipa Denila, Zundri Hajang, Haba Zoba Mesheba Ganimba, they were Shesomba Taro, Tanya Gambi Dujang. Denile, tella Tanya di Dukanshina, Sheneta Hato is sure la, Sensiwa the Goba maybe Tse, Goba maybe Tse Shesomba Taro, also all the Badalo Sharajin Tai.
When you achieve such equanimity on this occasion, when laxity and excitements are absent, as you cultivate concentration, stay with this equanimity and let your mind rest without exerting strong efforts. This sign, this sign of the sign of this sort of attention are described in the same text. What are the signs of equanimity? The object of meditation place your mind in equanimity. Your mind is not overflowing with excessive joyous perseverance with respect to the object of meditations. The time for cultivating equanimity is also set forth in that text. When is the time for equanimity? For equanimity, the term of serenity and insight, when your mind is free of laxity and excitement. The above explanations of the methods for the developing flawless concentration are in accord with the Venerable Martyr's teachings in the separation of the middle from the extremes.
당아주 토마도 어디 구베가다 카보 인지를 마도 베나 나와 주 지치 중에서나 나와 송 제스 던들레 별라 모자라 타냐 용원라 되네 네 라부타토 오라마스 레 tombo 주베가다 타냐 용에데 신드네 카보로 신네 이 나이데 가서 신괴니데 고모토네 네 베테 가디나 신괴니기 뒤세테 텔 똥고 비선데 차고 달로 공비 마마 같이 세네리베기 마제비 가게체 말레베네가라 네 모쳐와데 인디시 타냐라 아니 신괴 신화도 그바 강야 마요비 아니 지 내차여바 뭐이 마여비원을 데베질라 타냐셀레그라.
So when for the beginner practitioners, we may not be able to remain in this equanimity without, the free of laxity and excitement. And but then having meditated for a certain period of time and familiarizing yourself with such practice, then there is at some point, then there will be a time that there's a lack of absence of those two, excitement and the laxity. So then at that point, then one is able to maintain one's equanimity, which is free from two extremes, which is excitement and laxity.
되지. 당한서 되자. 당한서 그 주제니 얘기는 사바 당 대천비 뒤손도 사비 교환나 쇼지도 좀 틀어대네. 아니 가서 통모 매번은 단답아도 시험도 줘야 돼. 아니 신경이 시험도 줘서네. 나이 시험도 전전전에 뒤단답하는 다시. 다니 신경이 거네. 아니 신내다 하동게. 이 도바랑지를 총네. 랑지 선제 당직이 되는데. 네 녀와녀 제도가 제도 신절라도 소세네.
Let's do our dedication prayers. By means of receiving these teachings, accumulate merits, and the merits that I have amassed today, and also the merits that I have accumulated in 3 times, the merits that of myself and I accumulated by other beings. So it is by means of such accumulation of merits, may I and all other beings be able to achieve meditative serenity and special insight. Up until now, we have not been able to engage in such a practice and remaining under the influences of mental laxity and wanderings and excitement and so forth for a long period of time. The time without beginning, in other words. And now, from now on, I will put in effort to practice meditative serenity and especially insight by counteracting towards this mental laxity and excitements. So that I can gain the state of enlightenment for the benefit of all other sentient beings. That's all.
Thank you.